A fifth body has now been found in the Hennops River. This is near Centurion. The identities are yet to be confirmed. The latest body to be found is that of a woman. It's not certain at this stage whether the discovery is connected to the three missing police officers. The officers, aged between 20 and 30 years old, disappeared while they were traveling from Bloemfontein to an area of deployment in Limpopo. Our reporter, Nqobile Madlala, has been following this story for us since the disappearance of these officers, and she is at this hour at the Pretoria mortuary, and she joins us for the latest now. Nqobile, good evening to you and the families behind you. They have arrived at that Pretoria mortuary. Just paint a picture for us of what the day has been that you've observed from the Hennops River to where you are right now.
Well, Koli, from the start, when the families were being moved here, there's been a sense of anxiety and questions around whether or not this could be their loved ones. At this very point, you see that already from the families that are very distraught. You can see they're very sad. They're going through the emotions. Some of them are even crying. They are now currently inside getting counseling. But just to take you back, Koli, this all started on Wednesday, which we understand the police officers had gone to Bloemfontein to celebrate Cebekulu's birthday. They then moved from Bloemfontein to their place of deployment, which will be in Limpopo. On their way to Limpopo at about 1:30 in the morning on Thursday, they are seen in Khasmia petrol station. This is where they filled up some petrol on the vehicle that they were driving, which is a VW vehicle. They then disappeared in a sense of off the radar, where they could no longer find their phones or find their vehicles at the Beklu interchange. This is in Johannesburg and Sandton. But later on today, now they have been found. They have found that the debris of that same vehicle that was seen in a video has now been found at a bridge on the N1, over 38 kilometers away from the point where they could no longer be found on the radar. We know from Shadrack Sibiya, who's the Deputy Commissioner for Crime Detection, that the reason why they were able to find that spot specifically is because they use cameras, and these cameras then showed that that was the last space they were in, but investigations continue. Now, what that has happened is it has led to more investigations, leading to the divers going into Hennops River and continuing also to look much deeper. We know that the first three bodies that they found were of 2 males and 1 female, leading to the question of where was the second female, because we know that the 3 constables were 2 females and 1 male. So after they started searching there, they then found other bodies, which we understand at this point means that there are other investigations that will now look into who are these people, one of them having been driving a Peugeot, according to what we heard from the deputy. Now, that whole process has led to the families being taken from Bloemfontein to come to Gauteng to identify some of these bodies as one of their loved ones, if it is. We know that already Free State is preparing that if it is indeed their own, they will assist in terms of funeral and so on. But we know that at this very point, they are getting assisted emotionally, mentally, and so on. And this is through the SAPS, where they have counseling with various groups. Now, you'll remember that our Commissioner, Fani Masemula, did explain, the National Commissioner did explain that there is going to be assistance. There's going to be a team that is going to just be looking at the families and assisting them in terms of emotionally. Now, that team is part of the team that has come here. But what we've also found from the team, from the Provincial Commissioner in Free State, is that there's also another team that was coming here to assist Gauteng in terms of the investigation. The people we're speaking about fall under crime investigation. We know that they handle cases that could be critical cases that look into investigations, raids, and so on. But when we spoke to Shadrack Sibiya, they said to us that this could be related to just crime, it could be an accident, but they cannot confirm that in any way this is related to their work yet. So the investigations are continuing. But I do understand that Malungelo Booi is at a place where they were able to find another body. Malu, what is happening that side to you?
Hi there, Nqobile. In fact, we have moved from where we were about 10 minutes ago. We're now back at scene 1, where the 4 bodies were found. 2 found at the weekend and 2 others found today. And a 5th body was found later and was retrieved. At scene 2, we're back here in Nqobile because we have been told by officials that the families of those 3 police officers will be coming where we are, in fact, to see the scene where I suppose the bodies of their loved ones were essentially found and retrieved by emergency workers and divers that had worked really tirelessly over the past few days and hours, really making sure that they retrieve those bodies. They've retrieved about 4 here and 1 at scene 2. We've also been told that the National Police Commissioner will also be speaking to journalists today. He will then give a comprehensive update on the disappearance of these 3 police officers and the work that the rescuers and emergency personnel and police officers have been doing over the past few days, really, since the disappearance of these police officers was announced a few days ago. This is what we know, is that these police officers went missing last week. They were on their way to Limpopo from Free State. And there's also been this notion, at least, that they were found, the last found at Khasmir Toll Plaza on the highway. And it was near the engine garage there. And we're also told that their cell phones were off and the car tracker was also off. And on Saturday, we saw that media conference that was held by the police, officials from the Free State government, as well as the families of these 3 constables. One thing that continues to stand out for me, at least, from that press conference is what one of the husbands of the police officers had said, was that he was hopeful that the police would do everything possible to make sure that his wife is returned to him and their child. And of course, we know that there's a lot that still needs to be done in order to exactly establish if indeed some of the bodies that have been recovered here in Hennops are those of these 3 police officers. There's a DNA that has to be done. We know that the families of these 3 officers are currently at the state mortuary in Pretoria, and they're also going to come here where divers have worked tirelessly in ensuring that they retrieved those bodies. Police at the weekend had actually issued a reward of about 350,000 rand to anyone who can assist in ensuring that they solve this case. And unfortunately, with what we are seeing on the ground and what we're hearing from authorities, it seems as if really the only end to this case really is the tragedy that is being announced by authorities. And I must say that indications from authorities on the ground point to that those 3 constables are possibly amongst the people that have been retrieved here in the Hennops River. I also just need to point out that if you look at the Hennops River, it's a river that stretches across two provinces, Gauteng and Mpumalanga, and stretch across about 3 municipalities. It's about 94 kilometers in terms of its length, so it's actually quite long. And what's also important here is that that vehicle that these police constables were using on the day of their disappearance has essentially not been found. So we have been told at around 5:20, the National Police Commissioner, along with the families of those 3 constables, will be exactly where we are. We've also been told that the National Police Commissioner will provide an update to the nation on the status of the disappearance of these 3 police constables. It's a story that has captured the country. Many people left with so many questions. But I suppose that those that are still hoping for good news at this very moment.
Malungelo Booi, thank you very much indeed. And recapturing some of what we have been hearing throughout the day and just painting the scene for what has indeed been a very anxious few days for these families. And I wonder whether that word anxious could fast become an understatement, given the weight of perhaps what they are about to hear. And I suppose at this stage, they are hoping against hope that these people that were found in that river possibly could not be their loved ones. But that confirmation is yet to come. Thank you very much for the time being.